What's up, everyone? Welcome to Matt's Anvil, the place where you'll learn the tools to forge yourself a story for you and your friends. My name is Matt.
And I'm Josh.
And today, our topic is magic items. Magic items.
Probably the best thing about magic.
Probably the best
D&D.
thing about everything. Honestly, if you think about it, every tabletop game, every, even deck building games, everything like that, they all have some kind of magic items. D&D, magic items. Magic the Gathering, equip spells. Equipment, artifacts.
The new 4 Mirrodin effect, which is essentially just a living weapon, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure if I could say better yet.
Yeah, even Yu-Gi-Oh! Has stuff like equip spells. That's what I originally meant when I said equip spells. Because I've been playing a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! Lately.
Does it?
Yeah. They have spell cards and trap cards that are equip spells. That's getting cut out of the video.
I have not played Yu-Gi-Oh! Since I was in middle
Play
school.
Master Duels with me. It's a lot of fun.
Some of my cards got stolen.
Yeah, that's fair. Anyway, so like we said, today's topic is magic items because, of course, magic items are more than likely the most appreciated thing in all of D&D and tabletop in general. I can't think of a single time that a player or a DM or anyone wasn't more than happy to get some sort of a magic item in their inventory, whether it be common, legendary, an artifact, anything.
Except for the deck of many things. That thing scares the crap out of me.
Josh.
Mostly because
the first time we ran that campaign, who hunted cards? So I don't want to hear it. Just because you got burned
immediately
does not mean
immediately burned.
Does not mean that you don't look forward to even risky magical items. Now,
Don John immediately.
it's literally it was super unfortunate, but that's okay. That's not the point. The point is that we were still happy to find them, and we hunted them down. Excuse me. So, it's very clear that magical items are something precious to everyone who plays tabletop games. But the real question that a lot of people ask, because everyone looks for this, everyone reads for this, I can't tell you how many things that exist online for resources, is making magical items, both in-game and out of it. As the Dungeon Master, of course, creating magical items is something that you could do. You could also use what already exists, which is totally viable. There's some really cool shit out there. There's a lot of actually really cool shit out there.
I have literally been bored, started reading through magical items and be like, cool, what is this? Read it and be like, how have I never, 1, found this, or 2, looked for this?
Right?
The amulet of the
protection against detection?
No, the one, I can't remember the name, but it lets you traverse any environment.
Oh,
adaptation.
It's the amulet of adaptation.
That's
it's
just
so
cool.
sick. Yeah.
And it's so simple.
Magic items are really fucking cool. It's a mutually agreed on term. Right now, for the start of this, though, we're going to look at the DM side of things, because that's where...
he has to be.
No. I can be on the player side of things and still talk about freaking magic items, Josh. But the reason why you talk about it from the DM side first is because that's where they're born. How they affect players and things like that come later, or how players make them even come later. But magical items, inventing them, start from behind the DM screen.
Yeah.
So, a lot of people, and this is going to make a lot of people very mad, because I can't tell you how many times I've been asked, hey, how do you make your magic items? They're really freaking cool.
Corey, every other day.
Corey, a friend of ours asks me all the time, hey, how do your magic items work? I really want to learn how to do that.
Get ready to be disappointed.
So, before I answer that question, we're gonna talk about some other methods of creation first, because it's gonna leave a lot of people disappointed, as Josh said.
Our method.
With the methodology of which I use. But in my eyes, from studying this and looking at everything, there's about 3 methods involved that you can use to create a basis for magical items. Of course, all of these methods are going to be used in the process at some point. It's just how you start them that kind of builds the route that your magic item is going to take in its final formation. So the first method is mechanically. So if you're inventing items for a specific mechanic, the first thing you have to understand is that this is the most meticulous part of it, because this is breaking down what the item does, how it's supposed to interact, what its mechanics are. I mean, there's a lot of like, this is where all the key details of what the actual magic item is for, and this is generally used for when you're thinking of, in a way, giving it to players for starting out. Like, a lot of times you'll come up with you'll mechanically design a magical item because you have a certain person in mind or a certain scene in mind that you want to create.
Yeah.
Like, for example, in my games, whenever I run a D&D game, I make magical items for my players.
A lot of them.
Yeah, but, I mean, I wouldn't say a lot of them. I would say they are involved ones. So they change as you level up, which is what makes them deep. But in the beginning, it's just they're just a magical item for the person. But on the mechanical portion of this, finding out what the item does and how it's supposed to interact with specific players is how I formulate magical items for them. So, for example, Josh, your character Nanan.
Which version?
The first one.
Okay, so the shield.
Yeah. So you had explained to me in a backstory that you had been a kobold that followed Tiamat. You had been banished and then imprisoned from the realm because you had found a scale of Bahamut and had begun
worshiping him.
Yeah, questioning the both fates.
Yeah.
So I saw that and I'm like, okay, so I can interact with the player by probably taking that scale of Bahamut, because it's probably bigger than him, which, you know, it was. But I can also interact with it because of how he played the character. What class was Nanan? Or did he end up being in its final version? Because he was a paladin.
He started paladin. Level 1 was paladin, level 2 was sorcerer, and I kind of like hopped back and forth.
Sure.
Essentially to show that his existence was almost at war with itself.
Right.
Between him choosing to worship Bahamut and like his bloodline being more towards the Tiamat side.
Right. So, hearing that a player that I have has a magical item that is connected to a god is one interaction. Discovering the mechanics of that, though, I look at their classes, because
that shield was cool.
The easiest way, in my opinion, to make a magical item have specific interactions with specific players or classes is to look at a class and see what it uses. For example, like, find exhaustible resources. For example, a paladin has lay on hands.
Yep.
They gain 5 points per level, and they can use those points to heal someone, even from a down status, or cure diseases and stuff like that. Whereas sorcerers have sorcery points. They can be used for meta magic, they can be used to alter spells, they can even be used to get spell slots back. So, when I saw Josh's character, my first thought was, okay, I want to take the two classes he's decided and find a way to mesh them better together so it seems like one sort of class, basically, even though he multi-classed. So my answer was giving his shield a feature that allowed him to convert his lay on hands pool into sorcery points and vice versa.
In the similar way that you got rid of diseases with it. Where it's
right.
Like, you can, yes, at level 1 you can heal 5 HP. Or you can use all 5 of it to neutralize like a poison or whatnot.
True.
So it was essentially, because I was level 2, even though I wasn't level 2 paladin, I think I still ended up with, I still only had 5.
You still only had 5.
But it essentially meant that I had an extra sorcery point if I needed it, or because I had. Do sorcerers get the sorcery points at level 1?
Yes. No.
No, it's
no. They get
2.
it at level 2.
Okay. It's been a while since I played
that
version of that character.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
It was a really cool way to have extra of whatever I needed. It it made the game a bit more fun in that I could last a little longer in certain situations.
Sure.
But eventually I would run out of all resources and be like, cool, I'm in danger.
But it is a valid standpoint for understanding how the item it's supposed to interact. It is supposed to mesh your resources, so giving you giving you more resources in general, but making them exhaustible on both sides. And in addition to that, it's supposed to make your character what they do more fluid.
Yeah, and
it
did. Really did.
It really did. It was a fascinating concept. I plan on building on it in the future. But that's the sort of breakdown for how you would want to do an item on the mechanical route. You would want to find whatever the basis is you're making it for, and get the pieces and parts of it to click together in a means that gives the result that you want. Which I know that was a lot of long words, but it's basically, if you're going to make an item and you're going to do it mechanically first, you're going to figure out how it works first. Take the easiest route.
Yeah. If you know
or
why,
the path of least resistance.
Yeah, if you know why you're building it, that makes it a lot easier, because especially if you're building it for a player, look at their class, look at their features, look at even their background stuff, or the things they get from their race, because the more tailored to the individual, if you are making it, the more excited they'll be when they get it. Or in the case of that bow, the more impact it'll have when it comes up against them. Now, we never actually had to fight Artemis.
That's true.
But I definitely failed at least one wisdom save to not be afraid of her and that bow.
Right. And so this was he's referencing another item that I created, because I create a lot of magical items. It's one of my favorite things in D&D. If I ever existed in a fantasy world, I would be a magic blacksmith. Frick everything else.
He would be an artificer.
No, I don't like the artificer class. I would just be a magic blacksmith.
This loser.
Yep. But no, he's referring to a bow that I had made that it worked distinctly. It was made for an elven woman who was hunting chromatic dragons, and so it basically gave the bow the ability of the frightful presence that dragons have, but affects only chromatic dragons
or draconic creatures.
Yeah, anything connected in some way to dragons, it had an effect on.
Because the kobold and the dragonborn were just
don't like that.
Bad vibes.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
It was awesome.
I've made a lot of items like that in the past. What's really interesting is that wasn't even her actual her main weapon. That was what she had been given to find her main weapon. Yeah, I showed you it before.
I don't remember.
It was the one that that converts warlock spell slots into that you can fire them out of the bow, and they do a ton of extra damage. I can fire
yeah.
It's pretty cool. I really liked it. It was I do a lot of magic item creation. It's a problem sometimes. However, your explanation at the beginning of that, having a reason why, leads us perfectly into method number 2. So, when creating an item, and this is probably where everyone starts, because it's like creating the missing puzzle piece to whatever it is you're working on. Create a magical item for a purpose.
Yeah.
Even if it's to empower your players and make them have more fun, or it's to make artifacts that have that people are trying to steal. Always give your items a purpose. I mean, looking at it in actual story aspects, these are the common items for lore and myths and that sort of thing. So the items that were rumored to destroy towns or protect them, or things wielded by past heroes and villains. Those sorts of things, that's the most common purpose for them, is to aid the lore.
Yeah.
But don't be afraid to make items with smaller purposes. So items that are rings that can open specific doors throughout a city. for thieves and that sort of thing, or a stone that can communicate for long distances, like a sending stone.
I like the ring idea.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool.
I like that better than Band of Loyalty.
Yeah, Band of Loyalty. This is kind of. I mean, it has its place.
It has its place, but not in my mind for players.
True. Well,
like,
I mean,
I've known a lot of people who've played rogues, and I've played a lot of rogues.
If I was ever given the opportunity to play an evil character in the midst of a good party, I would take a Band of Loyalty.
Yeah, I can see that.
That's where I would play that.
It's not common.
It's not. It's not. And that's absolutely understandable.
And I remember the first time I read Band of Loyalty, and I was like, in what instance would I want this?
In specific instances. I'll give you that. It's definitely shouldn't be what it is. But it does have its place. I can understand why it exists. But my first thought when I was thinking of these items was in the first world for Tyranny of Dragons, Balman's mercenary ring.
Yeah. It
had the ability to make a room soundproof.
Which did we ever actually use that?
You did. You used it. Balman used it a couple times. He specifically used it when you first met. Oh shoot, what was his name? The paladin dude, the paladin dwarf guy that was all gung ho and happy about everything. Whenever you guys
wrestling everything.
Yeah, whenever you guys had your meeting to decide whether or not you were going to join the different groups within the Sword a couple of the groups within the Sword Coast, he used that ring to have a conversation with them because, creating a soundproof creating a soundproof space. It's pretty cool. It's definitely one of the more interesting items I've made.
But it's also just
it's a small.
It's
detail.
not a big thing. It is a little. Right. It is this cool little niche thing that was just it makes sense that it exists,
right?
Especially in the circumstances that it was put in.
And it's true. That's a very good point when making magical items, and it's that no idea per se is too small of a reason to make an item. Yeah. Because if it's a ring to create a soundproof room, I mean, great, that's usable. That you could do actually a lot with that. Technically, if you did that, you'd be immune to soundproof spells from the outside, or from sound spells or thunder spells from the outside.
Yeah.
There are ingenious ways to use it, and that was only a common item.
Yeah. Something that pretty much every member of that
mercenary group
had.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, if Bree had ever come back, I was going to give her one.
Poor Bree.
Yeah, she has work and school and everything else. I never blame people for leaving the campaign, especially for those reasons.
Life is so busy and hectic anymore.
That's true. Life is super hectic anymore. But yeah, so when making magical items, don't be afraid to make small things, because small things are probably going to be one of the items that's used ingeniously in just the right moment.
Yeah, like that. Like
that
the
concept.
ring is just cool. This person.
I don't think it ever occurred to Matt.
Which is funny
because
the amount of things that occurred to that man.
Yeah, he asks the most questions. So I'm gonna consider that a personal win. For you,
if
Matt.
we had ever run into a situation where somebody was solely using stuff like Thunderwave or whatnot, and he was just okay, cool, click. You don't work against me anymore. That'd have been crazy.
Yeah,
because I never even thought about using it that way.
Right. I mean, it's it's an inverted silence.
Yeah.
You create basically a bubble as long as you are in an enclosed room, and it becomes completely soundproof. Which is very interesting. But yeah, anyway, long story short, even small ideas, you can make them into magical items, and people can do some crazy stuff with them. It's super cool. I always encourage it. Do crazy things. Make all the things. Now, this is where people are going to get upset, and I apologize.
But it's the best reason.
The third method for creating magical items, and my personal favorite...
Because it's cool. It sounds cool.
That's where 90% of my ideas come from, and to be fair, that's where 90% of all magical item ideas come from. Most people are thinking in their heads... They're probably thinking in their heads, hey, I need to make an item for something. And then they come up with some harebrained idea, and they're like, yo, but that sounds so freaking cool. Like, dude, imagine if I made a bow that could scare dragons. Dude, that sounds sick.
Or, stab a flame tongue into creation.
Yeah, that was made up on the spot. God, that sword is crazy.
I'm really glad it's gone. If it is.
I'm not really happy it's gone, because it was a cool idea. It was definitely way overpowered for the party at the time, even at the limited rate that I gave it.
Level 6, we blew up reality.
Yeah. So what he's talking about is that in my Tyranny of Dragons campaign, I created or I shouldn't say I created, because it was kind of made on the spot by multiple people, which was admittedly super cool. Like, it was
by accident.
It was completely made by accident, but it was a very cool idea. I'm not going to explain the scenario because there's a lot of things involved with it, but essentially it
You have 4 pages.
Shut up. They're almost all things. Actually, I think it's on the first page.
Yeah, because it should be
that one.
Yeah.
So basically, what it was is that I had a player take a flame tongue and he did something with it that caused it to gain tremendous power, because flame tongues are renowned for absorbing fire. That's kind of like what they do. So I, at what, level 5? I think it was at level 5 I gave them this.
Because I think I was 2 levels of paladin, 3 levels of sorcerer at the
Yeah,
time.
so once per day, and
Maybe
with a
level 4.
and with a recharge feature, I gave someone a weapon that you could make an attack roll, double your proficiency modifier on it when attempting to hit, and if you did, they take 3d12 plus double your damage modifier and radiant damage. Hey!
Yeah, for a level 4 to 5 party at the time. And we gave it to the rogue.
Yeah, I wasn't very so that's my flaw when DMing. Dude, I give out magical items like it's fucking
like
crack.
Candy.
Dude, yeah, it's bad.
And then your players react to it like it's crack, and we're just like, you got any more of the magic items?
yeah. And then everyone started going after magic items, which I made a lot of magic items, but I don't think that's a bad thing. And this leads into another point.
It's definitely a fun thing.
Right. So I'm gonna finish the method 3 first, and then lead into another point that this brings up. But yeah, no, absolutely. If you have an idea for a magic item that sounds freaking cool, do it. Like this specific one that we talked about for creating an item with a purpose, a ring that can open specific doors throughout a city. Man, if your players get a hold of that, they basically become an enemy of the Thieves Guild that has access to every private door within the city.
Or, see, the funny thing is, you went Thieves Guild. My first thought was it's a mage ring.
That too.
That is how he actually gets around his own tower.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, because, wizards do all kinds of shenanigans in their towers, so it's just like, who knows? Maybe they have dimension doors, like, set up in places where they're like, cool, I just
pop around. Absolutely.
And the only way I can do that is through this ring. And then, the party somehow gets a hold of it and is like, cool, I own your tower now. That's terrifying. Especially if your party has
actually that gives me a
wizard.
That gives me a real interesting idea, actually. And so this is going to go into point. I'm going to expand on this idea because it kind of helps with my methodology of like how I create magical items. So you're talking about like a ring that basically acts as a key for dimension doors all around the tower.
Yeah.
But what if they weren't dimension doors? So what if each location within the tower is set to a teleportation circle ring like code, and so your ring can spin to match different codes? But you could also take that one step further by, if you flip the ring and match the codes, you can move the entire tower.
See, and I like that because that sounds more wizardy, because like if a random person puts it on,
yeah,
sure, there might be like 3 different spinning bands with numbers on them,
and they'd have no idea what it means.
Half of those, at least, the wizard's like, cool, I remember these numbers because I set them to trap rooms.
Right. And so like That's the kind of methodology
We just
behind
built one.
making a magic item. Absolutely. The purpose behind it was clear. It's to travel across a mage's tower. The mechanics for it make sense depending on how you spin the ring. So you can choose a number between 1 through 6, or you can roll for it, and depending on what it is, changes the teleportation circle. And then if you turn it around and choose another 1 through 6, it changes the location of the tower across whatever your map is.
I just remembered that I had one of those like percentile spinner rings. That's like the perfect thing to use for it. Like,
absolutely.
If you just own one of those and be like, cool, did I get lucky? Like, like the players can do that and be like, cool, what room do I end up in? Cool, you walk into a room, you don't see the gelatinous cube because, they're like fully invisible sometimes.
That's true. Actually, and so this is the other thing with creating magic items, is that it links ideas very well. So we started with a ring of specific doors.
Yeah.
I went Thieves Guild, you went Mage. Then we made a ring that changes teleportation or acts as a key to dimension doors. Cool. So
now both of those can exist.
Yeah, because both of those they're distinct.
They have their own purposes, and both purposes work
for what the mechanics are. But linking ideas is also something you can do. Like if you're looking for more. So in my mind, we went from a ring that unlocks doors, to a ring that can change teleportation circles. So my next thought is like, what if you're starting a basic adventure but you want to make it like the party has a centralized home, so there's always one city that they can come back to.
Yeah.
And so once per day, a ring that they have equipped acts like a teleportation circle ring, so they can always teleport back to the town portal.
I like that because like
it's a way to checkmark.
Yeah. Not only is it a way
checkpoint.
to feel like you checkpoint, but also like
fast travel.
I've heard of stories on TikTok where it's just like, cool, my players ran into the BBG a lot sooner than they were technically supposed to.
Yeah.
Just having that, cool, we're not ready for this fight. Escape card
absolutely
can literally just be like, cool, they avoided the accidental TBK because like I in my mind had this person here, they decided to go there, and I'm not going to be like, cool, he's not there anymore. Like,
no, and that's especially in like an open world style game. If you accidentally run into the BBG, that's gone.
It happened.
Unfortunately, you're in hard mode now. Like that's how it works.
Welcome to Minecraft hardcore mode.
But anyway, getting back on topic. So magical item creation, there's a lot of ways to start it. 9 times out of 10, you're always going to use the same 3 things. You're going to focus on mechanics. You're going to find a purpose for it, and you're not gonna make an item that you don't think is cool. There's never a time that you personally are going to make a magical item that you don't think is cool, because if it's not cool, you're not gonna make it.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing.
If you don't enjoy putting it together as you're going, you're not gonna finish it.
Right.
Because there's no need, there's no point. Like,
you control if it's in the game or not, and if you don't like it, you're never gonna put it in the game.
Yeah.
But let's jump for a second here. So we've been talking about making magical items.
Yeah.
Looking at the mechanics, giving them a purpose, making sure that you enjoy the ideas, because that really is one primary method of, hey, this is a cool idea and I want to make it. But a lot of other things that people ask about is, and more specifically is like players ask about when they worry, because players have worries and it's always important to address them, balancing issues.
Yeah.
So we just talked about that with Calypso, the sword that does way too much damage and you got it at way early of level. Well, thinking about it, I should have given it a curse.
Yeah, and I feel like if Tobias had been anywhere near the creation of that, he would have thought of something and talked to you later about it and been like, cool, it's there.
Yeah. Because but it is a very important thing to address, right? So if you're ever a player or a DM and you're worried about something is overpowered or something is like it breaks a specific rule that you have or anything like that, give it a curse. Curses are cool.
Yeah.
They don't have to be crazy. It can be something simple like soul binding it. It can be something simple like they have disadvantage on certain saving throws, or they have disadvantage on certain skill checks. Like, it can be simple. But curses are freaking cool. I love curses, and
it's almost like, because we've talked about this a bit,
sure,
especially with like when we talk about creating characters, we like our characters
to have a weakness.
Yeah, to have a flaw.
Absolutely.
If a weapon feels too good to be true, it should have a reason that it's not.
Right.
Like, or that it is too good to be true.
Right. And this can even be something as like it postpones the too good to be true, and you give it a temporary curse that you can cleanse later and make the full item.
Yeah.
Because there's 1,000 different ways to use curses, and there's 1,000 different curses you can use, and a lot of them are really cool, and some of them are just funny. For example, in my campaign, I had a player that he played true to form. I've mentioned him a couple times now. I think I mentioned him a lot in the last session. He's really cool. He plays his character really well, and I really like him as a person. Yeah, so Calcifer is a tiefling warlock that was in my campaign, and long story short, the dude's an asshole. He's a lawful evil character. He plays it really well. He does not give a crap about anything but what he wants.
Yep.
And he thinks pretty much everyone's beneath him, which is, fine until you walk into a shoe shop that is owned by a pixie, and you smart off, and not only does she throw you out of her shop with a gust of wind, but curses you to have butterfly wings that you can't see, but everyone else can. So curses are cool, and they can be super funny.
And they don't even like that. That didn't do anything to him.
It didn't.
Like, there was no drawback to that.
Nope. Actually, it gave him a benefit.
Yeah, other than it annoyed him.
Yeah, that's it.
When he eventually found out.
And that's all curses have to be. They can be just a mild annoyance. They don't have to be something that permanently weakens a character. They don't have to be something that makes it unfun to play anymore. Like, it's just
like Tobias's Curse of Glass.
Yeah,
I understand.
I want it.
I understand the build. I understand the build and whatnot. I understand the theory and everything. Like, I understand this curse.
So
I'm terrified of actually ending up with it.
To give some context, so a friend of ours, his name is Tobias. I should have invited him tonight after Corey stepped out. Yeah. I should have. So a friend of ours, Tobias, he's a fantastic dungeon master. He's a fantastic storyteller. One of his curses that you can find in his world is called the Curse of Glass. If anyone listening is familiar with the Risk of Rain series, because it's in both of them, yes, there is a curse that exists, or an artifact that you can run, whatever, called basically called a glass run. It's where you do extraordinary amounts of damage, but you have 1 health. That's it.
That's the curse.
You have 1 health.
You triple the amount of damage you can output, but
you have 1 health.
If you get hit,
you're dead. So but that's the concept of high risk, high reward.
Yeah.
Like, if he surprised his player that found it with it, I could understand the player being a little miffed.
Yeah.
But if there's a player that exists that's like,
I want it.
It's worth it. Let's go.
Like
a rogue.
Corey with his great bow.
Exactly.
That man would utilize the crap. Like, that build utilize the crap out of that.
I can see Corey doing really well with that.
Because his whole thing is if you see me before you die, I'm playing my class wrong.
Yeah. No. And you're absolutely right. But so curses are built the same way magic items are. Mechanics,
which is really funny to think about.
No, but it makes sense.
I mean, it's
positive magic versus negative magic.
Yeah,
they are built the same way, and a part of it is, this curse sounds cool as hell.
Yep.
Right? Like, man, what was it? I think D&D has one that's the Berserker's Axe.
Yep.
Dude, I love the Berserker's Axe. It's so cool. I'm gonna look up its stats real quick because I can't remember everything about it. But it's like, it does some pretty cool shit.
And then there's like the, there's like an honor-bound blade or something where if you take damage from like a party member, you like get forced into a duel or something.
I don't know.
I don't remember that one.
So Berserker's Axe. It gives you a +1 to attack and damage rolls as a magical weapon, and your hit points increase by 1 for each level you've attained. So basically, you get a health boost, you get a damage boost, and you get a to hit boost. The problem is
you get half of tough.
You do, but you get a curse. Right, but you get a curse. So the curse is you can't not use the X. If you don't, then you have disadvantage on all attack rolls with any other weapon. But the other one is that whenever a hostile creature damages you while the axe is in your possession, you have to succeed on a DC 15 Wisdom save or go berserk. And while berserk, you attack the nearest creature around you, and then you use your extra attack to attack the nearest creature around you until you fell the target, and then you choose the next one.
Yeah.
And it's
so hope your give this to your barbarian.
Yep.
And then make sure everybody else is either
far
a
away.
ranger,
yeah,
wizard of some sort, and like a warlock, because it's just like, cool, you go do that. We're just gonna be picking.
We're just
things
gonna be over
off.
here. Yeah, absolutely. But that's the like curses are cool, and that one is in D&D.
Yeah,
and I feel like it's a brilliant one. Yeah. I really do like the Berserker Axe, and it's a good basis for what cursed weapons should be. It's not something that should completely hinder the play style of whatever the player is. Like that's lame.
I can think of several barbarian characters that I've met that would love this,
right?
And wouldn't
Randy,
and wouldn't even be all that miffed about it, because like I think there was only one, and I think it was one of Randy's barbarians, where he was not the only frontline in that party,
right?
So like the odds of that ever being like against me or a party member always felt low,
right?
I'm also just, terrified of Randy's barbarians half the time, because they're like,
fair.
Cool, I'm meeting a new character. Are you magic? Do you take damage from this weapon? Whack.
That's fair. This is another magic item that I made for Calcifer.
I love this one.
So one thing to know, the reason I keep bringing up Calcifer, especially in these moments, when he joined my campaign, it was already part of the way through, and so I had to come up with something that he agreed with his character backstory in a relatively quick fashion. And the first iteration of it wasn't, in my opinion, it was not the quality that I had wanted to give. So when I next gave him the ability to upgrade his magic item, I made it to where the more curses he has afflicted, the stronger he becomes. So that's why whenever we talk about curses or we talk about like attitude problems, Calcifer comes up.
Yeah.
So one of the magic items I gave him is something I called the Cursed Mantle. Basically, it comes with a feature called Shedding Mail. So every successful hit against the wearer subtracts from their armor class by 1 to a minimum of 13. This was chain mail, so he went up to 16. But as a bonus action, you can take 1d4 piercing damage from the armor, basically stabbing into you, and restore the armor class back to a max of 16. So the idea behind this was like, it's cursed because you have to attune to it, and the curse is that every time you get hit, your AC drops by 1. But on the other side of that, taking 1d4 points of damage to yourself...
That's nothing.
That's nothing.
Especially because he was playing a paladin at that point.
He was not.
Are you sure?
Yeah, this was before the burst.
He was still playing his warlock when he got this?
Yeah, because I gave this to him, and then I gave him...
It's been too long, man.
Let's see, where is it? Where is the favorite thing that I gave him? Oh, shoot. It's going to take me a second. Josh, talk about something.
Sorry.
Is that... Yeah. So I also gave him a battle axe called Forced Devotion, which is why he thought about becoming a paladin.
Yeah.
So the curse is that you can no longer cast spells. Which
for a warlock, that's not a big thing.
It's not, but it also takes away from the fact, hey, you're a spellcaster. So there was a downside to it that I had to ask him if he was okay with it. Because that's one thing you should always do. If you're making an item for someone, make sure they're okay with what the effects are. Because if you have a curse or anything like that, you can negatively affect them, and they won't be happy with their character anymore. But he was okay with this. And so...
And he could still Eldritch Blast. It was fine.
He could, yeah. He could still cast cantrips. You just couldn't cast any leveled spells. But instead of casting spells, I gave him a feature called Necrotic Smite. So, and then I have this habit. I don't know where I got it from. But I name it, then I give it a subtitle. So in this case, Parasitic Exposure. Don't know why. And then I explain the results. I don't know where that came from. It's just something I do now. It's weird. So, but... Basically, while wielding this battle axe, you are cursed. You may not cast any leveled spells while wielding this weapon. Instead, when you hit a melee attack with this weapon, you can expend one spell slot to deal 2d8 extra necrotic damage to a target, plus 1d8 for each spell level higher than the first, to a max of 5d8. Basically, I gave him Paladin Smite, but for necrotic damage, because he's a warlock.
Yeah.
I also gave him improved critical, or not really improved critical. I gave him additional critical damage.
Yeah.
So I gave it Vicious Nature as an enchantment. So when you roll a 20 on your attack with this magic weapon, the target takes an additional 7 damage worth of the weapon's type.
Yeah, slashing.
Yeah, so slashing damage. But it's a fascinating curse because it does hinder the play. Like, it completely changes his playstyle.
It almost made him a Hexblade.
Right.
Without playing a Hexblade?
Exactly, which he'd been bouncing back and forth on, and this was my final, hey, do what you want to, and if you still want the Hexblade features, I'll give you something.
Yeah.
And that's basically what it was there for. I still love the description I gave for this weapon, which was, no mage strong enough. There is no what? I don't know.
You can't spell.
Apparently not. No mage strong enough to wield this, nor paladin with enough magic. What the frick was I trying to say there?
I don't know.
I don't know either. I think it was supposed to say, there is no mage strong enough to wield this, nor paladin with enough magic. No, this axe makes up for the lacking of its owner, bringing them closer to divinity's grasp to death. And it's still a cool, like, I don't know how I...
You had to reword it.
I don't know how the frick I scuffed that thing. So I also give all of my magic items just, like, minor descriptions like that, because it just entertains me. I like when people read things. So, like, I made Fool's Gold, which was a gambler coin to basically give, like, advantage on a roll. If you called the flip,
yeah.
But if you failed, you got disadvantage. So it was a risk either way. We had a gambler in the party. He liked it. We went with it. But it was a golden coin glistens in the palm of a gambler, heads the face of a demon, tails 3 triangles in tight formation. Before the luck of the gambler and the will of the Prince of Nessus, all else is rendered null and void. Because basically it was a gold coin given to him by the Prince of Hell. So, yeah, he had to deal with Asmodeus.
I know, so half of our party did.
I know. That's also the interesting thing. If your players have connections to hell demons for any reason, or hell gods for any reason, curse the shit out of everything. Do it. It's hilarious. It's hilarious.
I also like that, like, of all of the essence items, mine is still the only one that's still referred to as essence of the Shadowfell.
Yeah, yours was the first one I made. So, but to be fair, yours is freaking cool.
I love it. I just didn't get a cool name.
I mean, yeah, but I feel like I liked your description better than I liked everyone else's, and they were all kind of based off the same, but
mine was best.
Well, the side things were a bit changed. Oh, that's really funny. I didn't change that. Whoops. But no, it was like magic items are cool. I always recommend making magic items for your characters. In fact,
or just make them.
Or just make them. Yeah, make yourself a dictionary or whatever of magic item creations.
Like, yeah, the D&D Beyond has a lot of cool magic items on it that you can read through them. If you like them, great. If you don't, just make your own. Just send it, man.
Don't mind me. I'm just getting a refill.
It was the weirdest refill. Just full switched drinks.
I
don't even know which one of these is actually, like, recent.
Both of these are actually. I got real thirsty after work, and so when I went and got food, I ordered 2 Dr. Peppers and a shake. Like, I didn't give a crap about the actual food.
Thirsty.
I didn't give a crap about the actual food, but I did get 3 drinks.
Dude, I can just imagine the look on the face of the person who's like, they opened like the window to see one person, who they then had 3 beverages.
Actually, it was
just thinking.
Actually, I did the curbside pickup, so I actually watched this man walk out with a fucking bag that had the cup holders in it, and
then see one person.
Yeah, he handed me 1 bag of food, and then he's like, "And here's your drinks," and I'm like, "Thanks."
And he's like looking through the vehicle, like,
He did.
"Where's everybody else?"
He did.
No,
dude, it's so funny, dude. I was exhausted after work today. Anyway, we're getting off topic.
We're good at that.
Yeah, we are. But that's the point of podcast.
Almost
is to
as
kinda
good
talk.
at that as we are apparently making magic.
Dude, I love making magic items.
Because we just made 2 rings.
We did. Actually, we made 3.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. Opens doors, teleports, and then teleports to cities like a check mark.
Yeah.
No, magic items are cool. They're the whole reason that I actually got back into being a DM in the first place. Like, in all seriousness, the stories and stuff are cool, but dude, I freaking love making magic items. And there's no magic item I love more than magic items that grow with the player.
You've made 2 monsters.
Huh? Yeah.
You've made several monsters.
I've made a few monsters, yeah. You've never seen this one, though. This was for a campaign with some friends. It's kind of terrifying.
Oh, I like how it gives... Does it do that automatically?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. You can pick and choose if it's got legendary or mythic actions.
Well, no, I mean like the font and everything.
Oh, yeah, it does.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. But no, like, magic items that grow... Huh?
Clergy assassin.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not good.
What, like, mechanically not good, or not good to face?
Josh, they are an assassin for the church.
So both.
Yeah, they speak Celestial.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't.
Anyway, I do.
That is Animal Crossing.
You right?
That is not Celestial.
Maybe it is.
I hope not.
Anyway.
I still haven't played that game.
Back onto the point. So, magic items that grow with players. It's probably my favorite style of magic item, and Josh can attest to this. I've made some pretty decent ones.
I don't think you have made one that you have shown me that I've been like, yeah, that's not cool or not good.
I mean, yeah, that's fair. Oh, not that one. That's for I will show you that item later. But
also, do you want to help me make the hand cannon?
Oh yeah, we can do that tonight.
Because like,
and
I've never actually made.
This will be a good proof of practice. No,
D&D
we're not.
Beyond?
Fuck D&D Beyond right now. I have a journal around here somewhere.
Somewhere looks around on the table.
Shut up. I don't have a pencil though.
And I didn't bring my backpack.
Oh, that's a shame. I'm gonna have to.
There's a pencil right there. This man cannot see
Josh.
the desk for the forest.
Oh, it has lead. Huh. When did it get lead?
Fuck you, that's bad.
The whole reason I didn't use this pencil for like a week is because I didn't think it had lead in it.
And then there's another one right there. I can tell by the
That one I know for a fact. That one I know for a fact doesn't have any lead. All right, so we're gonna go down the list, and I'm gonna go from the back because this is the book that I was using for the other thing.
Yeah.
All right.
Dun, dun, dun.
So you wanted to make an item. Describe the character that it was for. So give the whole spiel. No. All right, fine. I'll do it.
No. So I originally the plan was we were playing Spelljammer, and the original idea was I was going to build James Hawkins from Treasure Planet, except I built him older, and as a after he finished his time in the military, he became a ranger, and my idea was to play a Horizon Walker for the first time because I started reading through that class and was like, yo, this is sick.
It's true.
But we started out in our buddy Tobias's homebrew campaign, which was kind of a mistake for going into Spelljammer, but
it's a pretty
the
fucking
game
cool
was
world.
Fun. Like, we literally told him, hey, as soon as you are ready to run this, we'll be back.
Yep. We did. And we are back.
Yeah.
Playing it every Sunday.
Yep. And so I essentially built James, and I kind of mixed him with Mr. Silver, I think is his name.
I don't remember.
So he ended up with a cybernetic, or not cybernetic, but like prosthetic arm and leg, and was just this highly perceptive ranger who preferred to use a bow. Didn't really like getting in close for fights, but could. And this one was playing Ordon,
Yep.
the astral elf, like artificer slash barbarian.
Yep.
Still a cool multi-class, by the way.
Yep.
And it worked.
Yep.
It's a weird concept, but as we were exploring this world, we found guns because one of Tobias's like favorite NPCs is a divination wizard gunslinger,
Facts.
and it's a cool combo.
It's a cool combo.
Just saying.
Porton is fun. It's game fucking breaking, but it's fun.
So yeah, guns at the very least existed in this world, and Tobias had his own like hand cannon-esque
He did. He made his own
weapon
weapons.
system. And it was one of those things where like the more barrels it had, the more damage or whatever, like the better a weapon it was. And our characters ended up finding like a six barrel revolver of some sort.
I think so.
And
You bought it on the black market.
yeah, and you know, the artificer and the ranger were just like,
Yo.
this is really cool, I want to work with this. So you were like, I want to work with this, and I was like, cool, I've got an arm that I can literally take off. Do you want to try putting the barrels in my arm?
And
he's
then
like,
his arm was gone.
yeah, it was just click here, and literally built a hand cannon.
It was more like...
Yeah, because it was like from the shoulder. Yeah, stole it and ran. But it was this hand cannon that the firing mechanism was his punching.
Yep.
So like,
that was the mechanics behind it.
It almost immediately gave him the gunner feat, because it's like, cool, I punch you in the face, I'm not gonna miss you with the gun that pops out of my arm.
Correct. So it was a pretty cool thing.
But because, you know, the size of a person's arm, we could only fit 3 barrels. That's all I needed.
3 chambers.
Chambers, whatever.
Just saying. Gotta be specific here. We're talking about magic items, mechanics, all that shit.
Yeah, well, I didn't build this thing.
Right,
I
but
helped.
speeding the
It
story...
was built onto me.
It's true. Speeding the story up a little bit.
Sorry.
No, you're totally fine. We got to the point where we were finding ways to waste time because when Spelljammer was being ran, where we played it, multiple tables were running it.
We're trying.
Yeah, so they wanted everyone to be consistent with like
We
at
were
the progress.
We were adventure leaguing it without officially adventure leaguing.
Right. So
Don't do
while our table was waiting for all the other parties to catch up and actually get into space, start the Spelljamming adventure, I mean, we went all over Tobias's world, and we found that Tobias has some very cool magic metals, which, hey, in magic items, if you want to make magic metals that do different things, like screw adamantium, do other things.
Lame.
Make other metals. Give them drawbacks and additives. Make them rare or common. It doesn't matter. In Tobias's campaign, there were 2 of specific note. There was Gravitum, which basically worked as though if it was propelled, as if it had just bounced from an extraordinarily strong magnet. Yeah. So it would go, you would draw it back or whatever, and it would just go. It was unaffected by gravity, basically. The other one was Iridium, which was basically a mix of a brittle metal and the pure essence of cold magic.
And technically necrotic, he later informed me.
Yeah, and
like,
necrotic.
It's like frostbite, how it like actually
like decays your fingers.
Yeah. It does that instantaneously. It's cool as shit.
It's really cool. But us being nerds and me liking to make magic items even back then,
and you know,
I'm
both
like,
of us aspiring to be blacksmiths at one point in our
hey,
lives.
let's make bullets out of those.
We went into the literal metallurgy of it, and we're like, cool, we're doing this.
Yeah, it's pretty sick. It's cool. I started arguing with Tobias about how metals work, and he said, fuck you, and I said, alright, fine.
But we did it.
We did.
I only left the planet with 3 rounds of, I think, gravitum, and I don't know if I ever
We didn't
used
get any
of
iridium.
them.
But
I don't know if I ever used them.
it took iridium in order to make the gravitum bullets.
How do you remember that, man?
Because I fucking loved that campaign, Josh. So basically, long story short, Tobias, when he runs his campaign multiple times, previous run-throughs affect the world. So my Ordon, even though I'm not playing him anymore, is in the world somewhere, and so is his magical item, along with James and his magic item. In this case, his arm. So Tobias, in his infinite wisdom...
But the person who played that character cannot obtain that weapon.
Right.
That is his stipulation.
That is his stipulation. So I can't get my glaive.
And I can build, but I cannot have James's weapon.
Right.
Hand cannon.
But someone else in the party can.
Which really sucks, because I'm literally playing, like, the perfect character to get a punching gun.
I mean, yeah.
Unarmed fighting.
But I'm not playing a character to get a fucking powerful glaive. Anyway, so Tobias gave us the opportunity that because we were coming back to playing his game, and he wanted our characters in his previous run-through to have an impact somewhere, that the weapons or a significant detail of our choice could be a magical item with his campaign.
Like an artifact level
thing. Like a high-class artifact level campaign. So I made one. Ordon, the Artificer Barbarian, I wielded a glaive that I basically, like, it would look like I was pulling out a sword, and then I'd click a button, and the entire staff of it would extend.
Which was already really cool.
It was a cool concept. But then I made it crazy. I went fucking crazy with it. So I actually made it into 2 different items. I called it Locus Fracti and Locus Totem.
Which is something you can do when you make an artifact level thing.
Yeah, you can make it crazy.
Just send it.
But basically, the concept of it was, it's.
I forgot how good this thing.
Dude, it's crazy. The basic concept was, each weapon has a certain number of charges, and when it's out of charges, it'll swap to its other form. But you can combo them very specifically into doing different things. So Locus Fracti, which was the glaive form, I could basically make a final attack with it and pull everyone close, and then the other form of that weapon specialized in AoE short-range damage. So I would pull them close, and then my next turn I would slam the ground and everyone would die. It was the implication behind it. But Josh has asked multiple times, hey, can we
help?
Yeah, can we go through
actually like fully fleshed out from start to finish
a
magic item.
Yeah. So, and we can do that during the course of this podcast, because that's what it's there for. We can implement the ideas we've talked about of mechanics, purpose, and hey, that sounds cool. And as well as, if you want to, we can give it a drawback. Aside from the fact that you have to lose an arm to wield it.
That already feels like one.
Yeah, but it's like, but it's really not, because you're putting another arm on.
Yeah, it's the whole like Hand of Vecna thing where it's like, cool,
Yeah.
I've got this thing.
Whack.
Bye.
Yeah, exactly. Except it's this, so it's like I've got this thing. Whack.
Yeah. Though I think Tobias made it that it's actually from the elbow down.
Oh yeah. Well, the gun is, yes. But your whole arm is actually your up to your shoulder.
Good, because
that was how you made the character.
So.
Yeah.
Because it sounded like he mentioned it was just, from here down. And I was like, that's stupid.
Yeah, the gun is from the elbow down. But so let's start with the purpose of it. So we're making a gun that would iterate a level 20 James, right?
I still haven't actually built him to level 20 yet.
Well, we can hypothesize.
Yeah.
Because I ended up building my Ordon to super high levels because of he was sucked into the abyss.
That poor bastard.
And then I never got to bring him back because it never ended.
Yeah.
I was very sad about that. I'm going to fix that one day. I'm going to run Spelljammer, and Ordon's coming back along with James. And it's going to be super depressing.
Yeah, because
they're going to fight each other.
I made a copy of James because, like, the Spelljammer went one way. Like, the Spelljammer version went one way. And then,
Yeah. Ooh, excuse me.
Warlocks with a -1 charisma. Not good, by the way.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
It's not fun. Anyway. So, James's purpose back then, would you have gone full ranger?
Yeah.
Yeah?
The plan was to... Because, like, I've multi-classed so many times. Like, if I had multi-classed, it would have been into like, fighter for some of their, like, cool things.
Right.
But, like, maybe, like, I might have gone for Arcane Archer.
Mm-hmm.
But I was reading through the things that came with Horizon Walker.
Mm-hmm.
And they, like, there's some really interesting abilities with Horizon Walker. Like, the ethereal step or whatnot, where it's like, cool, if you take the attack action on your turn before each attack, you can teleport 10 feet. And as long as you target different opponents, or as long as there are separate targets, you get a third attack on top of that. Like, you get a free attack as long as you target something new.
Right.
So it's like, cool, I teleport 10 feet, I shoot you with a bow. I teleport 10 feet, I shoot that guy with a bow. I teleport 10 feet, I shoot that guy with a bow. In one turn, I can go 90 feet just walking and teleporting.
Okay. I apologize for what's about to happen.
Oh, no.
I'm about to tick him off and emphasize the method number 3. It sounds cool. So, Josh, originally, it had 3 barrels.
Yeah.
But... level 20, you've lived a good life, you've adventured, it has 6 barrels.
Okay.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, you traveled with a master artificer.
Oh, is this the drawback we're going with?
No.
Is that what you're breaking the news to me of?
What? No.
You said I would hate it, so I figured...
No, you hate it because I just came up with basically your magic item. So you traveled with a master artificer for a long time.
When will he learn?
I know, I don't ever.
His actions have consequences.
I don't ever learn. So,
no, hit me with it.
What if, at some point, Ordon and James came up with, man, having to make ammunition for all these different types is so ineffectual.
Or inefficient.
Yeah, so what if, instead of the bullets, we make 6 chambers that you can rotate, and each one changes the bullet? Cue 6 barrels that each do a different effect.
This fucking guy.
I'm sorry. It's what I do. So
I love it. I hate you.
So as a bonus action, or so to give it a drawback, as a main action, you can pre-select the barrel you want to use.
Okay.
As a bonus action, you can random roll the barrel you want to use.
I love it.
But each barrel has a different effect.
Yep.
The normal one gives a normal bullet damage. You can shoot it, it's a normal bullet.
2d8.
Elemental works like Chaos Orb. You can choose what element it's going to be.
You mean Chromatic Orb?
Yes. Chaos Bolt is what I was thinking of. You can choose what element it's going to be when you fire it. So you can do... Excuse me. Fire, cold, acid,
Poison.
lightning, and... I think it's poison?
Yeah. That's the chromatic
I forget.
Scale.
The third one is iridium. Because, of course, you would have something in there that gives you iridium.
Except I would also have to find a way to become immune to iridium.
No, you wouldn't. It's an arm.
Yeah, but like...
We built the arm to be immune to iridium.
Cool, because like the first time we came across iridium,
yeah, you
he
touched
tried it with his... He tried with his mechanical hand, and the hand was just like, no. And he's like... Oh,
I haven't had feeling in this in forever.
I'm not normally able to feel my hand, but
I think you actually said that.
Oh, like it was literally like had to, break and move his hand again.
Right.
And he's just like, that's new.
Yep. So the iridium one, you shoot fire. It causes the poison damage. So it doesn't get the full effects of iridium, but the damage converts to cold and necrotic.
Yep. And
when you take damage with it, you roll a save, and if you fail the save, you get poisoned.
Yeah.
And it does take damage. Okay. Gravitum is the fourth barrel. When you fire it, the person you're firing, if they are large or less, they have to roll a Constitution saving throw, and on a fail, they are knocked prone. If they are larger than large and they fail, they are pushed back 10 feet.
Okay.
Because that's the effect of gravitum.
Okay.
Now, James, he was a war man. He was a soldier.
Yeah, the drawback could be that when he rolls the gravitum, he is also pushed back.
It could be.
Like,
yeah,
one of many drawbacks.
Sure. But James, he was a soldier. He fought in wars. He understands...
He was a sailor.
He was a sailor. But he understands that sometimes you need a little bit more than just damage to make sure that you last through fights. So the 5th barrel is enchanted with Tobias's custom, or one of his custom schools of magic, Restoration. So if you roll Restoration, you can shoot an ally.
It just pops out and it's this giant needle. It's like,
yeah, it's just a syringe. Like,
it's like, what is that? It does like 1 piercing damage and then heals. And it's like, what the?
But yeah, so you fire it and it fires. It turns the bullet into a restoration magic, or enchanted with restoration magic.
Yeah.
So whoever it hits, it actually heals.
Okay.
The final one, to go off of his Horizon Walker feat, it doesn't actually fire a bullet. Instead, it's a portal gun.
That sounds cool.
Right? So you can choose to select it, and you can shoot 2 different portals that are permanently linked, that you can step through or fire through, and it will pop out the other portal.
Write that down!
You like that?
Yeah. That's fucking sick.
I'm glad. This is why people hate me, by the way.
Because it's there, and he's like, bleh, and it comes out, and it's like...
problem.
This guy.
Yeah. It's great. Magic items are great. If you play D&D and you don't get excited when you get a magic item, there's something wrong with you.
Or you've been burned too many times
by bad curses or bad DMs. Yeah. Because don't get me wrong, like you should always be excited about magic items. And even if there are drawbacks, you should still be excited about the magic item. Unless it's a forced curse, and then you can just be sad. Like you put on a ring and it's like, oh, it's a ring of consumption. The ring is eating your finger.
I guess I don't need my hand anymore.
Right?
Vecna, give me yours! It's funny, I always forget that James had a negative to strength and charisma.
Yeah, he had a lot of weaknesses. But that was because, like...
I rolled 3 15s, 2 9s, and a random, 12.
Right. Oh, yeah, here you go. The Ring of Blink Bars. Once a day, you may use an action to deafen a room, allowing no sound to escape out of it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That's a pretty cool idea.
It's just a thing.
It's just a small ring. So, we're going to wind down here, apologies, because we've been going for a while. We've talked about basically what magic items are. And to summarize, as long as when you make a magic item, you keep an idea of what it's for, you enjoy the concept and its fruition, and you link the mechanics to be something influential, whether to the story or the players, that's all you need. It can be something small or something monumentous. It can be something simple or it can be something legendary. As long as you enjoy it, your players will enjoy it, because as I said and have said, magical items, everyone loves them. So always just keep those 3 things in mind. And the same goes for curses. If you want to make a magic item cursed, keep its mechanics in mind, what its purpose is, whether or not it's actually an interesting curse, and even if it's a common curse, they can still be interesting. The proper item that has the soulbound curse can have some really cool ideas. So just keep that in mind. And remember, when playing D&D, or a tabletop RPG, or any game, or anything that you're doing, God's above. Have fun.
Yeah, I think we're literally going to end pretty much every episode
with have fun.
Yeah, because
that is the
one
main
rule.
Point. It's the one. Yeah, that's the point of all of this. If you are playing anything and you're not having fun, why are you playing it?
We're gonna go on this tirade every time.
We're not. we're gonna end it off saying, have fun.
No, I just mean we're going to go on the period of, dude, enjoy what you do.
Yeah, because that's what it comes down to. Making magic items, making NPCs, having expectations. Have fun. Seriously. Yeah. I mean, that's all it is. As long as you're having fun, whether you are a player or a dungeon master, you'll never have a boring day.
Yeah. Except at work.
Except at work. Screw work. Thanks, everyone, so much for watching. You can catch our podcasts live every other Monday at 7 o'clock Central Standard Time in the afternoon.
We do our best.
We do our best. If you don't miss it, it goes live on our YouTube channel that you can find in the description at Matt's Anvil on YouTube.
It's so weird having all these.
It's great.
Like,
you can also find us on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, and almost everywhere else that you can find podcasts online. So, once again, thanks everyone so much for watching. Josh, thank you so much for being here with me.
I'm always going to be here.
And I appreciate that thoroughly. We will catch all of you next time.
We just built an entire weapon.
Bye.